Dubai real estate, and has it bottomed out, and should you be buying there now? Factors that you should gauge to see if properties have bottomed out in Dubai are the following. Also, if you get a chance, if you will go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, if you're interested in getting your taxes to zero or how to get a second passport as quick as 3 months. And at the top of the home page where it says apply with us, hit the question box and questions will come up, and then fill those out and then hit where it says send back to us, and we'll be glad to get with you and try to solve your problem. Number one is do not fixate on realtors if you're looking to buy property in Dubai, because a lot of times you're going to get a lot of BS thrown at you. One site that you can go to and really pick up a lot of good information, and it's all good stuff. You're not going to waste a lot of time in making bad decisions because some realtor gave you bad advice, is go to www.propertyfinder.com and hit the UAE tab. That's the country that you would be hitting for properties in the UAE, since Property Finder is in a lot of countries. And where it says rent or buy, you put in buy. And then where it says put in more locations, you put in the word Dubai. So you're centering on just Dubai and not, Sharjah and the other areas that are in the UAE. And then where it says minimum price, just leave that blank. And then where it says maximum price to put in, you want to put in 300,000 dirhams, because that's the lowest figure they'll have, because you want to know the cheapest properties that are actually in Dubai. And the 300,000 is in dirhams, it's not in US dollars. And then leave everything else blank, and then just hit where it says find, F-I-N-D, that's the find button. And it will bring up all the properties that are listed in Dubai that are the cheapest that you can find. All right, now make sure you have the filter set from the lowest to the highest property, showing the lowest property first. Okay, otherwise you'll have them just mixed in. And then, you write this figure down on the lowest property price that you can find, and also write down the square footage, of the actual unit. And then what you do is, I would go back every quarter if you want to see if prices are still dropping. Check back with propertyfinder.com about every quarter. And if this figure drops further on the price per square foot from the last quarter on that particular area, then, if it continues to drop, you haven't hit the bottom yet. Once this figure increases from the last quarter, then more than likely, you've probably hit the bottom. And this is where you want to start buying at this point here. And I would not be buying at the prices they're listing. I'd be making prices maybe 20% below that price that's listed on Property Finder. The reason you do this on Property Finder, on finding the cheapest properties, is these are more likely going to have the biggest jump when these property prices increase and they take that turn going back up again. The cheapest property, to give an example, that I could pull up on an apartment was in an apartment complex called the Square Apartments in Al Mamzar. The square footage, just to give an example, was 558 square feet. This is about $883 US per square meter, just to give you an idea how cheap it is. I think this is a freehold unit, but I'm not for sure because I went through and did some searching. It didn't say, but you need to make sure it's a freehold unit. If it's not freehold, don't buy it because it's going to be very difficult to resell it. All the other ones are leasehold, and the title will not be under your name, so you definitely need to make sure it's a freehold unit. All right, now this particular apartment consists of 2 swimming pools, one for an adult size, this Olympic-sized pool, and a second one for children. I've actually been to this apartment complex. It's really nice. The pool is really nice. It's a great lap swimming pool. It's got 2 gymnasiums for separate ladies and also for gents. Jogging track. It's got a barbecue area, children's play area. It's got a prayer room. It's got retail shops and cafes, and it's got a small shopping mall with 1 allocated parking in the basement. Okay, now I'm actually going to put the link down here for you below the video so you can kind of take a look at the actual apartment and get an idea if this is something you might be interested in looking further into. The most popular searched area in Dubai, and also my favorite place, is a place called Dubai Marina, because it's the only place you can buy that's actually walking distance from the metro and also the beach. It's actually the Diamond series, or which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute, are actually between the metro and the beach. And the biggest problem you have is with Dubai Marina, which I don't like, is which I've got on other videos you can look on. So you got a real problem with black mold there. And that mold gets into your apartment, it gets into everything. It's both apartments that I lived in were the furthest from the actual beach, but yet both had massive black mold problems. And it was so bad, the landlord wouldn't do anything about it. I had to take a case against him. It was a nightmare. That was another thing I learned about Sharia law. When you deal in their court system, it is a friggin' mess. But the landlord wouldn't fix the problem, and this black mold was everywhere. I mean, it was just in my clothes. It was a mess. And I couldn't move. You'd have to look at the video. I got another video on that because you're probably wondering, why didn't you leave? But you have to look at the video on that, okay? I got another video on that particular matter. Anyway, another option would be to buy the cheapest apartment in Sports City. All right, now this is an area which is close to the business district, and these do not have problems with black mold. I haven't run into anybody who's had problems in black mold there, and I've actually looked at some of the units. To give you an example how much these units have dropped in price, I was talking to a lawyer from the UK that bought in 2007 in Dubai Sports City, and the actual condos are selling for less now than what they were in 2007. I mean, that's how cheap the cost has dropped down. Anyway, another thing you can do too to find out if the bottom of the real estate market is falling, because it's bottomed out in Dubai, is to ride around and take a metro and examine the skeleton buildings that you're going to see, and make sure these high rises are starting to fill up. Because when I left there, man, I could count 30, just standing and looking around, I could count 30 buildings that were going up, high rises, that there were basically skeletons that had to be filled up. And those are going to have to be filled up before you see these property prices starting to inch back up again. And remember, there is no multiple listing service in Dubai. So a realtor, if you go to a realtor, he's not going to go to the cheapest unit out there unless he's actually using propertyfinder.com himself. And most realtors won't do that because they know if you find out a property finder, you're probably going to leave him and go just to the cheapest property on Property Finder, which will be another realtor, okay? And that's why a lot of realtors don't like to go to Property Finder, because they go to their own listings. Okay, now I'm going to give you my evaluation also on moving to Dubai, because I've had a lot of questions from people asking, well, should you go to Dubai? Well, I'll be honest with you. I've lived in Dubai, I've lived in St. Kitts, and I would much rather live in St. Kitts than Dubai. I've lived in both places for many years, and you can look at the YouTube videos I've got explaining for the reasons why that is. I don't have time in this video to go through that. But remember that Dubai is more than just having no income taxes. You're going to have to deal with the Sharia law there, and dealing with these dating matters, which I've got in other videos. You're single and you go to Dubai, folks, you can't spend time in an apartment with your date by yourself. If you do, you can be being deemed having sex outside of marriage, and they can throw you in prison for this. And don't think it won't happen. I know people personally over there that have actually been thrown in prison for that. Okay, now you won't see it in the news because the news medias they're guarded as far as what they can say, and it doesn't help in the media bringing people over to Dubai, so they will not let the news medias talk about this. You won't find about it unless you just know somebody that got thrown in prison. This is how you find out. And, Can you deal with the banking laws there? Their banking laws are a mess. I got videos on that too. You'll have to look up on that. They've got the worst banking system any place I've been to in the world, including any place in Central, South America, or the Caribbean, I can tell you that. Make sure you're familiar with the Sharia law legal system, and can you deal with that system? Because if you don't investigate that before you go, you might find out this culture, you can't deal with it, okay? And I wouldn't just look at again, no tax as a matter where you're going to make a decision whether you're going to like this or not. You need to look at the whole package, because if you don't, you could get over there and be really pissed off that you made the move. Anyway, if you want to learn more how to legally get your taxes to zero, how to get a second passport as quick as 3 months, do 3 things. Hit the subscribe button to the right of your screen. You'll get new videos as they come out automatically. I'd like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, just put it below and I'll see what I can do to help you. Also, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com. Hit the top tab that says Apply with Us. You get questions, just fill those out, and then hit the bottom button that says Send Back to Us, and we'll get back with you and see if we can solve whatever problem you got. And we also deal with 74 different countries, so it just depends on what you're looking for. We'll look at your situation, see what we can help you based on these countries that we deal with. And thanks for watching. I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Take care.